China's perspective on US-Israel-Iran conflict. Welcome to Global Affairs Daily. I am Sridhar Reddy. Today we examine how one of the world's rising powers views the unfolding conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran. The escalating crisis in the Middle East, sparked by coordinated US and Israeli strikes against Iran, has sent shockwaves through global diplomacy. At the center of it all is China, a major global power with strategic interests stretching from energy security to regional stability. Beijing has publicly expressed grave concern over US and Israeli military actions against Iran. According to official statements, China believes that Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity should be respected. All sides should immediately halt military operations to prevent further escalation. Dialogue and diplomatic negotiation are essential to resolving the crisis. China's foreign ministry has called for an immediate ceasefire and urged all parties to return to the negotiating table. This stance reflects Beijing's broader foreign policy principles, emphasizing sovereignty and non-interference while demanding respect for international law and stability in volatile regions. China's perspective on conflict is shaped by several key strategic concerns. Regional stability. Uncontrolled escalation threatens the security of global energy markets and supply routes, especially through the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil transit choke point. Any disruption could significantly impact global oil prices and economic stability. China, as one of the world's largest energy consumers, has a direct interest in peace and economic continuity in Middle East. China's response highlights two priorities: respect for sovereignty. Beijing statements repeatedly stress that military coercion, especially actions perceived as unilateral, risks violating the principle of international relations and the United Nations Charter. Rather than force, Beijing is calling for negotiation and diplomacy to resolve tensions between Washington and Tehran. This reflects China's long-standing preference for negotiation over conflict. This view aligns with broader philosophy in China's foreign policy that diplomatic engagement should prevail over military escalation. China has maintained long-term economic and diplomatic links with Iran, including cooperation in energy and infrastructure. Tehran and Beijing have engaged on multiple fronts in recent years, even formalizing agreements on energy and strategic cooperation. While China does not endorse military action, uh, it seeks to balance strategic interests, maintaining ties with Tehran, protecting energy imports, managing relations with the US and other world leaders. This balancing act reflects China's broader global strategy of playing the long game, shaping influence through diplomacy, trade, and negotiation rather than military confrontation. China's stance is part of wider pattern. Several world powers, including Russia, have condemned the US Israeli strikes as violations of international norms. Many countries have called for de-escalation and diplomatic engagement at the United Nations and in regional forums. In contrast to the US and Israeli position, which frames the attacks as defensive measures against the perceived Iranian threat, China's voice highlights restraint and negotiation. China's perspective on the current conflict is rooted in strategic caution. Beijing is concerned about the human and economic cost of escalation, the threat to energy security, the precedent of military action without broad international support. Rather than taking sides, China advocates for restraint, respect for sovereignty, and return to diplomacy. As the, as the Middle East conflict unfolds, China's voice represents a global power seeking stability over chaos, negotiation over conflict. That was our analysis of China's perspective on the US Israel Iran crisis. Thank you for watching Global Affairs Daily. Have a great day.